For the first time in more than 5.5 years, we finally tonight have a few new answers to a question that has loomed over Indiana and over the town of Delphi. Who killed Abby Williams and Libby German?
From the end of the bridge to, you got to go through. Now, I believe that the bodies were found about 50.
Born from a family's grief and determination. In April of 2020, Army soldier Vanessa Guillen went missing while stationed at one of the largest military installations.
You hear that little music in the background that goes, "Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious."
Right.
Knew about it or was there. He's as guilty as the person who committed it.
Chilling details in the arrest of a suspected serial killer caught before he could strike again.
Him, they dropped the ball, man. Like they said, he went AWOL, and that he was a deserter, and nobody went to look for him.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder.
Like I said, we're going back. We were asked last time to kind of talk about the food, the grub truck video, and kind of give our perspective of it. The press release from the police department, it indicated that they're still trying to put pieces together from that night. Does that worry you at any point or at any bit that they're still trying to put those pieces together?
It's been over 5 weeks since little Kaylee Anthony vanished. Her mother, Casey, has been arrested for lying to police. She's being held without bail.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Fry, and you're listening to The Drunken Turkey Show, your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Drunk Turkey Show. I'm your host, Daniel J. I need to adjust this real quick. If you guys can hear me all right, let me know in the comment section. I'll be running the show solo today, so I'm not sure if coming in clear or not, so let me know if you guys can hear me all right. But we got a little bit of some breaking news today. Just came out a little while ago. Thought I'd come out here and give you guys my take on what's going on. So let's start off with the information. So apparently, according to NewsNation earlier, that sources state that there was an ID connected to the Idaho killings found in one of Kohberger's residence. Let's watch this, and then we'll put our take on it. Go through it. I want to thank everybody in the live chat. I want to thank everybody that's joining. This is a unscheduled live. I just felt that come out here and talk to you guys since this information just came out. Tomorrow, we're still going to be doing our live as scheduled. We're going to be digging deep into the other claims that are out there that Kohberger may have possibly committed other crimes similar to the ones that he's alleged to have committed on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. And so we're going to try to, break down some of that and see if there's any cases that are out there unsolved that might look at the direction of Kohberger. If you're from the Pennsylvania area, or if you're familiar with Pennsylvania, if you're familiar with any cases that are unsolved that may perhaps, happen probably within the last, I would say he's 28. Maybe he started when he was 16. So maybe the last 12 years in the Pennsylvania area, if you're aware of any unsolved murders, especially any of them that had to do with perhaps knives or college students or high school students, females, something of that nature, please email it to me. Our email address, let me put this up real quick. It's drunkturkeyshow@gmail.com, of course, but let me, there it is. So without further ado, let's watch this together, and then I'll pause it here and there, and I'll give you guys my take on it.
Tonight, we have another exclusive set of details, and they go to two aspects. One, evidence of what was found in the places where he lived or he inhabited, okay, that may connect him to one of the victims. An ID was found connected to someone from the home in Moscow, Idaho. It was found during one of the searches of Kohberger's residences, plural. So what does that mean? Well, either they found it in Washington, you know, where he was.
Well, we know that there was the IDs that were found at his Kohberger residence in Pennsylvania. And the odd thing about those IDs that were found was they were in a glove in a box. Let me pull up the list here that we have. I hope everybody can see this. Let me see. So this is the information that was picked up from Kohberger's residence or his family residence in Pennsylvania. A knife, which was interesting on its own, a book with the underlined page, so-and-so. But you get down here to number 35, and it says ID cards, plural, right? Inside glove, inside box. To me, you guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. But, we thought that was odd when we first saw that because it's inside of a glove, inside of a box. There's been some reports that he may have been involved in other crimes similar to the one that happened in Moscow, Idaho. Could this be a link to some of those other crimes? That might be so. It sounds like he may have kept a trophy. There's a lot of talk about how there's a lot of similarities between what Kohberger is alleged to have committed in Moscow, Idaho, and other serial killers that are out there. And you look at that Ted Bundy and the fact that he, attacked a sorority at one point, traveled across the nation. You look at BTK, who, if Kohberger is alleged to have committed other crimes, then he didn't start at 28. BTK did start at the age of 28. He started with 4 victims, similar to this situation. But, there's been a lot of talk about the time in which it took for Kohberger to go in there and commit these crimes and how quick he was and the fact that there wasn't much of sound. There's a Ring camera that picked up whimpering, crying, and a loud thud. They didn't pick up any screams or any of those type of things, according to the probable cause affidavit. Is it possible because they were dealing with an experienced person, somebody who has done this multiple times, somebody who knows how to attack, where to attack, so that it is silent? Those things are starting to kind of make sense. Thank you so much, Terry, for being our newest member. Now, what we do plan on doing, guys, we do have on Fridays, we do 2 things for our members. On Fridays, halfway through the show, it's a member-only chat. And also what we're going to be doing is once a month, we'll be doing a members-only live stream Q&A where I'll be answering as many questions as I can within an hour for members only. And that'll happen at least once a month, maybe twice. But that'll be kicking off here pretty soon. I haven't picked a date yet, but we'll be looking at that here pretty soon. Also, tomorrow, guys, we're going to be giving away a Drunk Turkey Show beanie. So I highly recommend you catching the show tomorrow night. We'll be live at 7:35 Central Time. And so let's get back into this. Now, inside the glove as well. I mean, is it possible that glove is also a, maybe that's also a token, a trophy or something? Also, guys, we got 498 of you guys in here. If you guys would do me a favor and hit that like button, I would appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, also, please hit that subscribe button. But what concerns me is how many cards. Now, when we listen to what Chris Como stated right now, it very much sounds like it was one person's ID. Doesn't sound like it was multiple IDs from multiple victims in that house. Now, let's try to figure out who we think this person could be. Now, there's been reports, and it's been speculated that it was Madison Mogen who had pictures on his phone previously that he had downloaded or possibly taken. It hasn't been disclosed yet. The manner in which those photos of one of the victims were on his phone. I'm assuming that, he left in a hurry because of Dylan, right? And if that ends up being the case, then I would also assume that he had the most time in Maddie's room with Kaylee and Maddie. Now, given the fact that they were in Madison's room, I'm going to assume that the ID card that they have is Madison's ID card. I think, and it's looking more and more like she may have been the target. To me, it appears as if, and this is just me speculating in my thoughts, is that he got an infatuation with Madison, and I think he was driving around. He was stalking her. And in my opinion, I think he entered that house. I don't know if he maybe perhaps thought that the Range Rover that was Kaylee's maybe have been somebody else's or whatever. But I think when he opened the door and he walked in and he saw that there was somebody else laying with her, I think that might be the reason why that other person, which was Kaylee, ended up with so many more severe injuries as it's been speculated. And I think that might have been because he may have built a unhealthy infatuation with this woman. And perhaps that's why those injuries are more severe. Now, he's had the most time in that room, so I'm going to assume, because it was Madison's room, that that's where that ID came from, right? Now, the other thing is, whose else's IDs are there? Are they his? Are they other possible victims? Apparently, he's been sourced. The sources have come forward stating that Pennsylvania authorities are looking at Kohberger possibly being involved in at least 2 other murders. Now, is that a situation where it was a one incident, 2 people, or is that 2 different incidences, 1 person involved in each one? I don't know yet. We're going to try to find that out and go through a lot of things tomorrow on our live. Let's see. Angel D says, so even if they don't find DNA and PA, these cards will be, yep. I agree. This is pretty explosive, in my opinion. And I don't think that you're going to have a multi-agency cover-up. So I know I've seen some comments already that it was planted, things like that. That's super far-fetched. I mean, you're talking Moscow Police Department, the FBI, and the Pennsylvania Police Department that was in charge of this raid. I highly doubt that that's feasible. Just get that out of your mind. That's not even a conspiracy to think of. There's no way that would fly. Now, I understand maybe perhaps, some people saying the sheath was planted because of the officers that were involved going in. Okay, I'm sure that question is going to be put out there. I don't know if I put too much, weight into that. But, the question is there just based on the fact that you have 2 guys that perhaps maybe at one point lied under oath, right? And so now you're looking at 2 other agencies, the FBI and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I don't think so. And so, if they found something there that ties it back to Moscow, Idaho, I think this is pretty much it for Mr. Kohberger. I don't think you can explain these cards unless his story is that he had a relationship with one of the with whoever the card was, and that card was left at his house or in his vehicle or whatever the case may be. That's going to be his only, in my opinion, his only defense to having an ID card of one of the victims. And if he can't prove that he ever knew this person, they stated that he's tried to make contact with several people inside of or at least one person, one of the victims, through social media. Well, if she never responded, or those questions or those requests were never picked up to accept that direct message, it makes it hard to believe that he would have a relationship with this person, that he would then become in possession of their ID card under some normal circumstance that wasn't him taking it from the house that night. You get what I'm saying? Let's see. We have a $3.99 super sticker from Creed64. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And we have a new member, Bonnie Bailey. Thank you for becoming a new member. We appreciate that. Let's see. And I'm going to try to go through some of the comments, y'all. It's just me tonight, so it might be a little bit more difficult. Majority of the time, I do not handle the comment section. It's usually Jaime or Big Blue. But since this was a unplanned, unscheduled live with just me, I'll do my best. Let's see. I changed my mind about the poll. This comes from Pam from Florida. I agree with the previous chat that the smoking gun would definitely be his DNA on victims. I don't know even that could be planted. What can't be planted? So when it comes to like what, planting evidence and things like that, I understand that there's that defense and that there's that possibility. But that possibility usually diminishes as other agencies get involved, because you're expecting other agencies to do things that are illegal to cover the back or whatever of a small agency. Like, for instance, why would the FBI want to protect the small agency that Moscow Police Department is if they're doing something corrupt? I don't think there's anything there. There's no leverage. And so I highly doubt when it comes to these ID cards, given the fact that they're possibly were found out here in Pennsylvania, because again, it didn't say which residence. We can assume that it's his parents' residence, because that's where they found ID cards inside of a glove, inside of a box. Now, when we go back to the warrant, the search warrant, right? And so this is for items to be searched and seized, and this is for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. There's a couple of things that it brought us a question early on, and when we saw this, and it was right here. It says documents, records, data completions related to 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, and or Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Madison Mogen, and or Bethany, Funke, or Dylan Mortenson. Clothing to include DNA, unlimited clothing. And so then also it said property right here. Any property belonging to Ethan, Kaylee, Xana, Maddie, Bethany, and or Dylan. And so when we saw that, we initially thought, man, I think there's a possibility that he took a trophy, or that the police think he took a trophy. So if the police suspect that there's a trophy being taken, maybe perhaps things went through, or it appeared that maybe drawers were disturbed, things like that, right? And so they may have thought that, okay, this guy may have taken a trophy. That definitely would be in here in this type of wording. The fact that it says documents, records, things like that, that kind of tells me related to 1122. So I'm assuming that that's probably some sort of like blueprints of the residence, whether it be off of like Zillow, getting off these apartment websites where you can get pictures, and then composing a blueprint or a landscape of the residence, even if it's drawn on a piece of paper and notes. And so it definitely seems like it's going in this direction where they believe that Mr. Kohberger committed this crime and took a trophy, and it may have been this ID. Let's go back to what they say here. We're only listening to 34 seconds. Let's go back.
Just outside Moscow, Idaho, or in Pennsylvania. Police also believe they have evidence that could connect Kohberger to what they are viewing as cyberstalking of someone from the Moscow residence. We've reached out to the police. Due to the gag order, they can't confirm this information. But does this answer two questions? Is it a smoking gun? I never really understand what that means. Obviously, is it the murder weapon? Who is it? No. But does it connect him to a group of people he had no business to be familiar with? And does it imply that Kohberger may have had more people on his list, and that may be why they're investigating him, to see if they can connect him to any other situations? Let's bring in retired FBI agent and NewsNation legal contributor Jennifer Coffindaffer and high-profile trial attorney.
Now, Jennifer Coffindaffer, who's just on the screen, she had tweeted something interesting earlier. So last night, it was reported that Pennsylvania was looking into Kohberger for possibly other incidences that have occurred in their area. And they brought up Jennifer, and they kind of echoed a story that was brought out when they first arrested Kohberger, that they were going to be looking into him. But if I remember correctly, I haven't looked for it, but there was a New York Post article about it, and it said that they haven't found a connection. And so maybe they have now or since. But she had posted a tweet about the situation, stating that they had some news, but it was muted, was the terminology that she had used, meaning for whatever reason, maybe because they hadn't verified it through their own sources or whatever the case may be. But they ended up not disclosing that information last night, and they ended up disclosing it tonight, where Bryan Kohberger did, stating that there's at least 2 other murders that have occurred where they are interested in Kohberger's possible involvement. So let's continue with this.
Mark Garagos. To both of your reckonings, you're familiar with the reporting and the sourcing on this. I basically have it right, yes? Nods of the head is enough? Okay, so from the investigative side, look, Garagos hates doing anything that's favorable to me. You see that? Even nodding his head. He didn't really want to. He was fighting it. So from the investigative side, Jennifer Coffindaffer, let's start with you. You find ID from one of the victims in a place that was controlled, inhabited by Kohberger. Let's start with that. How big a deal?
It's a big deal. That is a smoking license. Just like the sheath was a smoking sheath found next to Maddie with his DNA on that clasp, it's the same thing in this situation. Why would he have an ID related to one of those people from that house? And remember, we know that identifications were recovered from the glove box, and that was at the Pennsylvania search warrant. So interesting. We always wondered, what were those identifications that they referred to?
What's the counter, Mark?
Well, look, the counter is we don't know if it's true yet. I think part of the problem is when you put a gag order on stuff like this, and you don't have a way for people to respond, you get us doing what we're doing now. I mean, I would much rather find out if, in fact, this is true. I would want to find out, number 2, where it was found precisely, and I would want to know who it's of. And if you get if you assume all of those things are true, then I don't disagree with Coffindaffer. It's a bad fact.
The idea that they have, what are they talking about, you think, Jennifer, in the universe of, we have evidence that we believe shows that there was cyber stalking of him, of somebody else, either in that house or elsewhere? What kind of things might they be talking about?
Well, again, to Garagos's point, if that's true, why do people stalk? They stalk because they're feeling persecuted. And
so AF brings an interesting statement. They say probably Dylan's ID. That would be crazy if it was Dylan's ID. Like if they found Dylan's ID there. I mean, I think everybody would probably lose their head. It'd be crazy. It would be crazy. Let's continue.
is a way that they can exact their revenge. The same reason why people commit these types of heinous murders. All it means is pursuing stealthily. So this would line up completely with the crime he is accused of committing.
And by
am I
the way,
wrong, Mark?
it fits
Go ahead.
right in. It fits right in with Jennifer's theory from last night too. So she's really building quite a true crime manifesto here.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the book.
Yeah,
I'm going to need her on the podcast. The idea of is it fair to argue, counselor, at this point, even if both of these things are true, I'm more worried about the ID being in something of his control or possession than I am of the cyber stalking, because you could be into somebody and and looking at him a little bit too closely for somebody else's comfort, but it doesn't mean you killed him.
that's exactly right. Because if you've got something, I'm going to guess, and Jennifer, you can slap me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to guess that she would then say, look, if Pennsylvania turns out that they find things and he's connected to other crimes, this is what serial killers do. They have trophies. They take a trophy, blah, blah, blah. This is like a true crime, I don't know, to exponential levels. So that is what the argument would be. And that's I'll give you this. If any of this is true, it's a very difficult hurdle for the defense.
Hey, thank you for watching.
So it's if it's true, like they said, they can't come out and say it's true. This is just off their sources. This is the list again of what they found in Kohberger's Pennsylvania home. If it's true, it's going to be very difficult for the defense to come forward with this. Now, I know I'm seeing a lot of guys say that it was planted or possibly planted, can't trust MPD. And I get that, but this wasn't found by MPD. I believe this was found by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and during their search. So this was in the Pennsylvania search warrant and what was recovered. And, we can go through a majority of it. There was a knife. There was the book with the page 118. A lot of folks thought that was the that manifesto of, I can't even remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but that book was never made. It was never a real book unless he printed out every page. And I don't think that was the case. I am interested in knowing what book it was. If it ends up coming true that this guy is experienced and has done this multiple times, then I'd bet a little bit of money that might be a book referencing other serial killers that are out there. So they had an AT&T bill for Kohberger, Glock 22, Gen 5, 40 caliber serial number, Smith & Wesson pocket knife, a folder containing vehicle paperwork, Acer laptop, green leaf substance in a green container, it's probably marijuana. That's usually how it's described. Documents, green leafy substance in a plastic bag, white paper with password, power cable, cell phone, 3 Glock 40 caliber magazines, empty, boots, black face masks, prescription, black gloves, 1 black hat, 1 black mask, personal identifying documents, New Balance shoes, dark colored jackets, 3 dark colored shirts, and 2 dark colored pants, clear plastic glove, single glove, 1 Acer laptop with damage, 1 Acer laptop with damage, some application, record of sale of the Glock 22, 29 is an item. The asterisk is because, and I went back to go look at these things, and it's because those items or whatever they wrote are ineligible. They're not legible to read. It's very difficult to read some of these. Like for instance, this one right here, it says, I think that says loop documents, but I could be, or it's 100p, 100p documents. I can't tell. And neither can these guys because it'll have this asterisk there next to it. And so note in a desk, criminal psychology book, documents, university notebook, Excel Columbia, Navy fleece. And wait, what? What number is that? That one is 32. 30, well, XL Columbia. Oh, Dowman's and DeSales University. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like Idaho University notebook, because then that'd be weird. But now that says Dowman's and DeSales University. So DeSales University notebook. It could documents and DeSales. XL Columbia Fleece, Navy Fleece. A man's mind drawing, I think, is what I was able to read. ID cards inside a glove box, or inside a box. So that's the IDs that I'm assuming that they recovered, that the source may have spoken about. The reason being is there's already been a list of documents of what was seized from his person, what was seized from his parents' residence, what was seized from his vehicle, what was seized from his apartment complex, or the apartment from his apartment complex, and what was seized from his office. And this is the only time that ID cards are brought up. So this would have to be where it's one of the victims, right? And so ID cards inside glove, inside box. And it's like I said, it's plural. It's more than one card. Like I mentioned earlier, the way I figure that this situation had occurred is that he went into the building from the rear sliding glass door, went up to the third floor, went into Madison room first, committed the crime there, spent most of his time there. I truly think he was going to spend more time downstairs where he was at with Xana and Ethan as well, had it not been for possibly, and this is just speculation on my part, Dylan yelling out something that startled him. I think that's the reason why he left her alive, was he knew where the Moscow Police Department was, where their location. He knew how much time he had to get out of there in case somebody did call 911. And so with that being said, I think once he heard something, I think he was, tunnel vision, completely focused in on whatever it is that he was doing. My assumption is he probably didn't understand what was said, just heard that something was said and freaked out and had to get out of there. And so I don't think he had enough time when it came to being in Ethan and Xana's room to take something. Now, I could be completely wrong. I just don't think so. I think he had a majority of his time upstairs, and I think he may have taken the ID card from at least one of the young ladies upstairs. And given the fact also that incident occurred in Madison's room, it's not saying that Kaylee didn't have one of her IDs on her person, or maybe had her purse or whatever inside of that room with her. But I would assume that it was probably going to be Madison's ID card. Let's see what else was taken. Various criminology books, notes, license card, dark colored hats, black gloves, Seagat, Barracuda, a black box Samsung, 2 pair of black gloves, 1 black knit hat. I'm just curious as to what that looks like. That's interesting. See, because now I would assume that he would have gotten rid of it had he had a beanie on during the commission of the crime, any of the clothing and all the clothing that he would have had. I would have assumed he would have gotten rid of it. However, had he not, they didn't describe him in a hat. It was dark. And so it's possible that he did have a beanie to protect or to stop any hair coming out of his, falling off of him. And a hairnet, a beanie over the hairnet probably would make the most sense to me. And so that's interesting. It could be part of a pack. There's one missing there. If it is, that's just speculation. Let's see. because he does have 2 pairs of black gloves, only 1 hat. Maybe where's the other hat? So, all right, dark green short sleeve shirt, black long sleeve shirt, baggy sweats, just clothing. Motherboard, Washington State University paperwork. Note from Bryan from Montana. Craftsman shop vac, medical documents. This is that one I was talking about. It says it looks like the loop or something. Documents. Note to dad from Bryan. Maroon colored spiral notebook, dark colored clothing. HP 100B all-in-one computer. Lenovo Idea Pad, laptop, Tangent model medallion, dark clothes, and a laundry basket. A tailored cutlery knife with leather sheath. 4 swabs, which were the swabs for his DNA. 2 pair of dark colored boots and 1 pair of brown boots. So right here it says illegible or unclear text is what those asterisks were. So that was all from his person and what he had in the residence there. Let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. We have a $2.99 super sticker from Amy Harris. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I want to make sure I didn't miss any other one. Ooh. Susan Rowe with a $3 super sticker. Thank you so much. All right, I think I'm caught up when it comes to those. So, interesting development, y'all. Interesting development. I got 1,200 of you guys in here. If you guys can do me a favor and hit that like button, I appreciate it. But interesting, and furthermore, more concerning is, that's ID cards that are plural. They're looking at him for at least, or investigating, according to sources. They're interested in him in possibly 2 other murders in the Pennsylvania area. Is it because of those ID cards? I mean, is it possible that they found his little treasure chest, so to speak, of trophies that go back a while? A lot of people, like I said earlier, talk about the timeline as far as how fast he was inside that house and got out of that house. And there was not a lot of noise made. It sounds like somebody who maybe experienced, somebody who's done this before. Somebody who's also had the, understanding of what it takes to commit a crime like this, as far as stamina and things of that nature. Made several mistakes in this situation. I would assume that if he was involved in other crimes, if we look back at the probable cause affidavit and it talks about, let's pull it up. I think this would be a big clue for us. Where was it? All right. I think I passed it. No. Where was it? I'll find it over here. So over here, it talks about Kohberger's warrant for, to pull his cell phone pings. And it talks about right here that Kohberger's past education included undergraduate degree in psychology and cloud-based forensics. He wrote an essay when he applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department. Kohberger wrote in his essay he had an interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data and public safety operations. So I wouldn't be surprised if, given the way he committed this crime and assuming probably because it's more of a rural area and that they may not have that technological advancement, I wouldn't be surprised if he did commit some more of these crimes if they were also in rural areas. That's probably the first place I'd look. I think of rural areas versus like cities. I'd look at the manner in which this crime was committed, probably crimes involving a knife. I don't know if you necessarily would target a specific persons based on their, if he's trying to attack females of a certain age, per se, because one of the victims in this house was Ethan, which may have been more of a circumstance versus, him planning that out. However, it doesn't necessarily mean, in my opinion, when we look at other cases that Kohberger may be involved, I don't think that age and gender are going to be necessarily tied down as much as operation of the crime. Like, for instance, the knife, time of night, rural area. That's where I would be looking at. And that's what we're going to look at for tomorrow night. We're going to see what we can find when it comes to those type of, for tomorrow night. Let's see. I'll answer a few questions and then I'll be letting you guys go. This was just something that was unplanned. Just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about this and see what you guys' thoughts were on this situation. I think it's pretty, it's glaring. I think that this could be not so much a smoking gun, just kind of like Como said, it's not the murder weapon, right? But this, you have the DNA on the sheet that puts him in the house, and then you have, an ID from one of the victims. I mean, that's more than one piece of evidence that puts him in a position or place where he shouldn't be. And so I think it's pretty much a done deal on him for that one. If this ends up being the situation, I think he's a done deal. And for the most part, when it comes to the poll, we have 695 votes. And the question was victim's ID found in Kohberger's residence. If true, and that's the main part of this question, is if it is true that one of the victim's ID was here, is it the or a smoking gun? 83% of you guys said yes. 83. Queen of the People, thank you so much. Coming in with a $2 super chat, says thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Like I said, I saw this and I wanted to get this out there. The Richard says circumstances are definitely building up. Yeah, I agree 100%. 100%. It definitely is. Definitely is. Let's see. I thought report didn't say it was victim's ID, just an ID. Well, it said of an ID connecting to one of the victims from the residence. So it doesn't say their ID, but an ID that would connect to Kohberger to somebody in the residence who you would assume, and it's just an assumption, that it would probably be one of the victim's IDs. My opinion. Let's see. Emma Kaler, yes, that is the name I was going to go get y'all. True Crime Time. He is stunning. Emma Kaler. I'm going to look that up. I've heard that name as well. And I think it was from, I think I may have seen the True Crime Times deal on it, but I'm definitely going to go relook at that. Let's see. Wouldn't that be listed on the items list? It would. And there are IDs listed on the items list at the Kohberger residence in Pennsylvania. It doesn't specify whose ID or how many IDs or anything like that. But it does say that there was IDs that were collected inside of a glove, inside of a box, which were kind of weird. When was the ID found? The IDs were found during as they arrested him. I think it was the 28th, 29th, somewhere around there. It was when they arrested Kohberger in Pennsylvania, the IDs were found during that search warrant and arrest of Kohberger inside his family's residence in Altsbright, Pennsylvania. Thank you so much. Thank you, Daniel. Great show. Looking more like BK is the perp, if true. Hope the families get some closure. I agree. Yeah, this is definitely looking in that direction. I always thought that the police got it right. I had some concerns about some of the evidence, especially the way they acquired some of it. Maybe not having enough evidence to acquire. Maybe the phone pings not being enough. But I've said throughout the entire case, I think that they were onto him, and I think they got the right guy. I was concerned about the evidence, but with this right here, and possibly, if DNA comes out of his car, I mean, there's no fight, man. Just plead guilty, bro. That's all I can say, because there's no way you're gonna win this. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Exactly. There's not too much info because it's breaking news, but there is a way of kind of going through the evidence that's been out there to kind of see what's up. Let's see. If it's true, I thought we were only supposed to believe info if it came from law enforcement. Yeah. Well, I would assume that their sources is law enforcement, probably somebody in the Pennsylvania. From the Pennsylvania side, that's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Perhaps it's a gray area when it comes to the gag order because it's from the Pennsylvania side, but don't want to come completely forward. So because of that, it is what it is. I don't know if it's 100% true or not. I can only assume. Let's see. And this is what I'm thinking too. There's that possibility that this guy might be an SK, and man, wouldn't that's just scary, because how long has he been doing this? That he's been on the run, and as much heat as Moscow Police Department gets, if this ends up being the case, right? Like, let's just say he is a serial killer and that he's committed a bunch of crimes in other places, and the Commonwealth Pennsylvania Police, law enforcement agency, they're the ones that found the ID. So I highly doubt that they're in cahoots with Moscow Police Department to try to burn Bryan Kohberger. I don't think so. But, putting all that together, and then that means they would have gotten their guy and stopped a serial killer that perhaps has been on the run, and unbeknownst to anyone, unknown to absolutely anyone, committing who knows how many crimes after another, not leaving DNA and or of technical or a digital fingerprint anywhere, based on because of his studies. And it's scary, man. And you got to give it up to the Moscow Police Department and to the FBI for tracking this guy down and finding him within 2 months of the crime that they had, and arresting him. Again, that's all saying if everything that we've heard tonight is true, which, I mean, there's only so far the rabbit hole you can go in conspiracy. At a certain point, once you get multiple agencies working on this case and they're coming up with the same thing, you got to kind of have to agree with it. Let's see. Let's see. What are the other crimes in PA do we're talking about? How they compare if they think BK is involved in? I don't know yet. I'm going to do a deep dive into that tomorrow, and probably tonight as well. And we're going to try to find as many possible cases that we think that are out there that could, Kohberger could be involved, if we can find any at all. So I'm asking for your guys' help. If you guys know of any, please email us, and we'll look into them, and we'll bring them up, and we'd appreciate that. Let's see. Or a fake ID for DoorDash job. I don't, maybe, but it said it tied him back to, they said tied him back to the house. So maybe you're right. That's possible, I guess. I doubt it, but it's possible. Let's see. I'll look at about maybe 3 more questions to throw out here, and then I'm going to let everybody go. Let's see. Love your community. I consider your program a part of a 24 channel. Like how many get started? I'm guilty of being addicted to engaging in all these channels. You guys rock with integrity. Thank you, Richard. We appreciate that. TX Tracy, I just saw your video come up. Dang turkeys, this is great news. Yes, it is. Thank you so much. Let's see. Wonder if the corner club saw the girls' IDs that night. Yeah, I would. Well, maybe. I mean, it depends. You know, I don't think, based on the picture from the corner club that was out that night, I don't think that Adam was working. It looked like he was in the corner out there. But if he was at work, then he knows them. So I doubt that they would have gotten their ID. But I think I know where you're going there. It's maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. Oh man, I hope I didn't that. All right, but how would Pennsylvania police have the ID to plant it in Pennsylvania home? If it was in the house, I think his goose is cooked. Exactly, Nomad Live. Exactly. If it was Pennsylvania that found it, there's just no way. No way whatsoever. Let's see. He kept trophies. Could be IDs linking him to other cold kids. I agree, and that's what I'm thinking too. Very true, D-Dubs. Very scary. I'll make sure I don't miss any. All right, cool. Well, guys, that's going to do it for me tonight. I want to thank everybody that was in the live chat and everybody that participated and caught the show. If you're watching this on the replay, please hit that like and subscribe. Leave us a comment section. Let us know what you think. Leave us a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think. We'll be back tomorrow night again. We'll be giving away a Drunk Turkey Show beanie on the air. So make sure you ring that notification bell if you haven't. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. That being said, I'm Daniel J. This is the Drunk Turkey Show.